So I think you've heard from the FDA and CDC. They've made an announcement on the new vaccine. So certainly they said that there'll be an updated vaccine mid-September, I believe. So we know that, as you all know, vaccinations against COVID-19 remains the safest protection for avoiding hospitalization, long-term health outcomes, and death, which is why we are going to be encouraging Americans to stay up to date on their vaccines.
The criminal governments of the world are about to attack we the people again with the masks, lockdowns, and deadly vaccines, and people are already masking up. As a Weimar judge was just sentenced to 2 years in prison for trying to lift the last mask mandate, Germany is set to mandate the masks starting again this October. Corporations are announcing mask mandates. Colleges are announcing mask mandates and threatening to disenroll students if they don't get the clot shot. The CDC admits the masks are useless, and the NIH published a study saying that the N95 masks can expose people to toxic compounds linked to seizures and cancer.
The mainstream media, like CNN, has been brainwashing these people to be just under a spell of democratic stuff, and it's making them wear these masks that are unnecessary and making them lose oxygen. And it's bad. It's so bad for a community. And we need to fight back. I know I'm a kid, and to be honest, we need to be like Power Rangers. We need to fight back. We need to fight back against evil. Because CNN and the mainstream media are evil. They are trying to make us under a spell. And we need to resist it. We need to resist masks. We need to resist all of it. Okay? And we need to fight back.
The strange blood clots are still being found in the dead bodies of the vaccinated. The vaccinated appear to be shedding the spike proteins and the nanotech that we know is in these lethal cocktails. Nanotech that is growing inside the hearts and brains of the infected. The shots have made millions infertile, and we know that Pfizer aggressively campaigned for pregnant women to get the shot, even after knowing it could kill their babies. It is estimated that the shots have murdered millions, conservatively. According to the CDC's data, the more COVID-19 vaccine doses in an area, the greater the increase in mortality and death. The hordes of unchecked people being flooded into our country through the open border are not required to be given a COVID vaccination. Lucky them. But Joe Biden says a new vaccine is coming for every American, whether they've gotten it before or not. We are being given a second chance to say no to these psychopathic criminals in our government.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the time of censorship, non-compliance is key. From an undisclosed location in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
Welcome, folks. It is September 2nd, 2023. I'm your host, Joshua Michael. I have Uncle Ruckus, a.k.a. the Black Redneck, a.k.a. Huckleberry, a.k.a. How many a.k.a.s do you have?
Triple D from the Navy. No relation.
As comical as this is, it is not comical in the sense that, as you heard, based on the report, they are trying to bring the mask back. They are trying to bring the lockdowns back. They need that for what we called the midterm variant back in 2018. This is the 2024 variant, and that is strategically to get us to lockdown and allow them to do mail-in ballots and allow them to subvert the elections and have an excuse to potentially, we'll get into kind of what Tucker Carlson said a couple days ago in regards to a war, a hot war, potentially with Russia, to subvert the elections and not allow us to have the elections. That is the ultimate goal, because the world is awakening. and we are awakening in droves, and people are not going along with this. No matter what the Oregonian decides to push, for example, like there's a article right now that says restock your face masks as COVID-19 Parola variant emerges. The best deals on the N95 and or KN95 with fast shipping. And we know it's a bunch of nonsense. They're trying to push the masks. But are you, as a informed citizen, as an informed American citizen, as an informed Oregonian, going to put up with this? And what can we do to get out in front of this? Because they are not hitting us flat-footed like they did in January of 2020. They're not going to get away with it. Every single person that I talk to that I mention about this who doesn't have a mask on already is not going to put up with this. But how do we do that? How do we subvert that? How do we inform our employers immediately? Right now, I highly suggest you start talking to your coworkers, you start talking to the people around you, the people in your neighborhood, restaurants that you go to, restaurant owners, servers, waitresses, anything that you do that involves or did involve a mask in the past. Now, the medical establishment and the medical system with hospitals and things like that, I think they're going to go along with it. The airports, they're going to go along with it. But overall, in the public, I don't think that they're going to have a very good time. Now, I think this is just another distraction to try to get something to stick, to get an additional excuse to create more chaos in what's going on in an already chaotic world. But, I wanted to get Huckleberry on today to talk about, the state of the world. I know he's out in the mix. He's always out talking. He's going to all the county meetings and all the things going on. So he has a good pulse of what's going on in Oregon, because that's really what we're concerned about is what's going to happen here. We are in the heart of the lion's den. So what do we do? How do we circumvent it? And how do we prevent this oncoming onslaught of lockdowns and mask nonsense and everything else? I mean, what do you think? What's your pulse with people that you're talking to out there about this? It is relatively new, and a lot of people don't even understand that it's coming. A lot of people don't see the tea leaves on how they're going to try to push this and the next wave that's going to come. We have, the Biden administration, they've announced, the CDC has announced, New York has basically announced mask mandates, and the medical establishments, the TSA, airports, travel. I know it's one of the bigger travel weekends this weekend. So they're hitting us at the forefront right before school, right at a perfect time. We know that a couple schools shut down last week. And so I think they're going to make this push. But I don't know. I think too many people are awake. What do you think?
Personally, based on the pulse up and down FEMA Region 10, they're done with it. What we have to do as people is to say, we already gone through this. It was a big lie before. And now we know the game. We know what they're planning and what they're also going to do while this is going on. If you notice, at $80 a barrel, they're increasing the price of food, which is going to hurt commerce traveling in the state and country. It's all a designed plan to make us have temporary shortages, push us in doubt, and everything else. I will tell everybody right now, you do like Reverend King did at the Montgomery bus strike in '53. You do not go to businesses that are going to force you to put a mask on. That's really
the answer, I think, in this particular wave, and what they're going to try to do is simply, folks, at this point, if somebody's going to enforce you to wear a mask to shop at their store, if somebody's going to force you to do that at this point, we need to just not shop there. I don't care what it is. And or you need to create flash mobs, show up with 10, 15, 20, 30 people, and you all go and show up at this facility and don't comply, do not comply. But here's the thing. We're not there at that point yet. We want to push it to where they're not able to get to that point.
The point you do on that is, number one, you go to your city council meetings, you go to your county commissioner meetings first, and school board meetings, which is essential.
Right.
And say, we're not going to, these God's children is not for sale.
And we're not going to do that, and we're not going to comply.
And on top of that, you hold your ground. They give you 2 to 3 minutes to speak, have an introduction. Your main instruction is, we already gone down this roller coaster. Number 2, the evidence shows that COVID is 99.987% survivable. Number 3, to go through and require, especially on our young kids, which cause major dysfunctions in our society, including one of my godsons is barely recovering now.
Right.
Mentally, socially, the higher number in average suicides over the last 2.5 years on our teenagers and young adults, or even adults that's been in business and been self-made due to depression. We need to say, we're not going to go down Joseph Mengele Road. We're not going to go down Stassi's Road, Miles Road, or Pinochet's Road, and we're going to hold our ground. We're going to do what the Lord asked us to hold the 7 mountains in our community: churches, education, arts, science, government. And if the government ain't going to do what you say, vote their butts out.
Yeah.
Keep sending responses to them. Hold them accountable. Your silence will give us, if you're silent, we'll have 77 years ago, the results of Auschwitz,
Right.
Dachau, and Sobibor.
And I want to talk about, I want to take a little bit of a step back as well. Not only are we warning you about, what's coming and everything else, but I want to step back a little bit of why they are pushing this now, right? Even though the pulse of the public is, we're not going to comply, we're not going to accept this. I mean, we have Trump coming out, which we're going to play a speech here. Trump came out and he said, do not comply against these mandates, do not comply against anything else. So the bigger question is taking a step back, and I want to talk to you about this, of what you think could be going on in the inner workings. They know they're not going to get away with this enforcement again, right?
Right.
We crawled from the bottom of the pits to inform people that masks don't work, to inform people that they're never going to stop until we decide to stop, until we decide to not comply, which is the whole premise of Non-Compliant America. This show is to not comply with things like this, right? So the better question is, why are they rolling this out now? And what do they have up their sleeves that they want to get everybody on this thing, because they know this polarizes people. They know this activates people. They know this turns people up. As you know, people are very charged up now in the fact that we're not going to do this. So they're going to focus back on this torpedo, this COVID-19 variant BS. What are they doing in the background that we're not seeing, in which they're going to get everybody focused on this again, to where, what other tricks do you think that they have up their sleeve? Do you think they might be going into a kinetic or a hot war? Do you think they might be, what could it be? And then also, the other thing that I'm concerned about is they're calling it COVID still, of COVID, and it's a variant. What if it's a real bioweapon and everybody falls right into it? And this could be, we're going to play it off like it's another hoax, another scam of 0.99999% survival rate, and we might be walking right into our demise. And I'm not trying to create fear, but it is a very, very big possibility, using the Streisand effect, using the awakening against itself. That would be one of the tactics to look out for.
Go back to 6 weeks ago when I went to California for my brother-in-law's 50th birthday. The same day, in the area that I put bees, I'm a beekeeper part-time too. The Chinese lab that they discovered, experimentation gain-of-function research lab, right there in Reedley, California, in Fresno, southern Fresno County.
And they were having bioweapons there.
Yes, they did. They had over 13 different variants. They had various other blood samples. They had over 3,000 rats inside this Connex box of trailers of material and stuff.
So yeah, looking at Fox 59 right now, an illegal medical lab discovered in California included a bioengineered mice, infectious agents. This was in Reedley, California. An investigation in a warehouse uncovered a large-scale illegal medical lab complete with bioengineered mice, infectious agents, nearly 30 refrigerators and freezers and incubators and more. So that's interesting that happened. Looks like it dated back in July 31st. And the investigation says that it's still ongoing, but whatever happened to that? There's no update on this article and anything else, but it's really interesting. You're listening to Non-Compliant America. Joshua Michael will be right back.
Broadcasting from the foremost state of Oregon in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
Welcome back, folks. Joshua Michael, Non-Compliant America. And we are right in the mix of a new variant, a new verified variant. Be afraid, be very, very afraid. They're trying to scare us, get us all back to lockdown. More importantly, they're going after your kids. That's the entire premise of all of this. They want access to your kids. They want to lock them up. They want to scare them. They want to put masks back on them and create additional mental patients for the crazy dystopian future they're trying to create. Now, I don't think that they're going to get very far. More importantly, now we have Trump on the forefront calling these people out, creating this, and that's 84 million plus people that voted for him that are not going to go along with this. I think with the help of Trump, he's finally getting hardcore. He's finally coming out and speaking out against this stuff, and he's finally getting on the right side. Now, this goes in tandem with my prediction of a Trump-Kennedy ticket by 2024. By May or April, I think they're going to announce it, because notice RFK, he's been speaking out against this stuff forever, but Trump's finally getting on the right side of the rhetoric. Take a listen.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply. So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your vaccine mandates. They rigged the 2020 election, and now they're trying to do the same thing all over again by rigging the most important election in the history of our country, the 2024 election, even if it means trying to bring back COVID. But they will fail, because we will not let it happen. When I'm back in the White House, I will use every available authority to cut federal funding to any school, college, airline, or public transportation system that imposes a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good for Trump.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, good for Trump coming out against that. I think that's very important. So here, you just pulled up this update. The CDC detected this bioweapons, unlicensed bioweapons lab they found in California. They detected coronavirus, HIV, hepatitis, and herpes at an unlicensed California lab, right? Supposedly they destroyed it all, the CDC did, in the Fresno County Public Health Department. But how interesting that this was less than 6 weeks ago, and they discovered this and they were investigating it. Since when does the government ever do anything effective, right? Usually what we're finding now is they're just handling stuff rather than actually, they're a big PR firm anymore. So do we really want to believe that? Do we really want to believe that they destroyed all of that stuff? Whereas rolling in 4 weeks later, all of a sudden we have this mysterious variant that's coming out. Now we have to lock down again, right? That's going to be their excuse, just like the bat soup story that has been completely debunked. And all of that. So I don't know. I don't think people are going to really go along with it. But the better question is why are they rolling it out now? What do they have planned to do that, right? So if FEMA takes control, if they declare a national emergency, FEMA essentially declares control. The executive orders, they're able to take stuff over. They're able to have an excuse for shortages, and I think they're going to merge. I believe they're going to merge the climate crisis nonsense in with the COVID crisis nonsense. And they're going to merge and marry those two, kind of like what they did with Afghanistan and Iraq. You remember that transition? Mm-hmm. Remember suddenly we were in Iraq in 2003?
Yes.
right? And it was like, well, wait a minute. I thought we were in Afghanistan fighting the Taliban and Osama bin Laden. Now all of a sudden we're fighting Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
You remember that transition?
I remember that transition.
Then they had video cameras on the tanks, and you can watch
it. You had your
the night vision
frontline
stuff.
reports.
Yeah, the frontline reports, all that stuff. So I have a feeling they're going to try to create a tidal wave of fear, and then from there, they're going to try to push it, and we can already see that, into the climate stuff. Because if you look at what the elites are doing, you can look at what the cities are doing. And the new bills that they're enacting, even in the city of Salem, the bills that they're enacting, they already have their 2025 zero emissions plan. They've already signed, sealed, and delivered it.
Portland.
Right.
But here's one thing you got to ask on this. Also, tie in that we, as of the springtime, have not gone through Congress on any treaty that we signed with the World Health Organization, that we have given them partial autonomy of our country, so they can call the blue helmets possibly,
Absolutely. But that also ties in with the TPP.
Yes.
That Trump voided and Biden reinstated.
Yes.
That wasn't just a trade deal. That tied in. The World Health Organization essentially has power now over our county health departments.
Yes.
In their procedures and policies.
And violating the Constitution along the way, because you need 67 members of the Senate to approve any treaties or promises or any type of organizational type by Congress, not by a president through executive order or by, I'm going to fly a jet carry, mashed potato face himself, or the others. It's pretty sad. But here's one thing we got to look back on. The most important thing is this. One, why did if Kerry, Blinken, and Secretary of Treasury couldn't meet China's agreement, but we sent Henry Kissinger overnight, and he welcomes with open arms, it stinks like cat pie.
It does stink
in the
like
box.
Cat pie. All right, guys, we'll be right back on the other side. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back. Are we facing lockdown 2.0? Or are we facing a potential PSYOP to restrict travel of people, restrict resources, and have an excuse, a full excuse, to not allow us to be free and not allow us to be Americans? That's the $1 million question. This line of thinking, stop the spread to reduce the strain on hospitals, mask up, and so on, is being echoed by all the major media organs right now. My phone is blowing up every minute with different new articles. Restock your face mask. Get the new jab. COVID, new variant coming. Lockdown now. Don't travel. You've restricted travel. If you want to travel across the country now, you have to have a vaccine passport. And so what are they going to do, and how are they going to roll this out? That's the $1 million question. We're now aware of it. They know that we're aware of it. How are they going to enact it? And I believe they're going to start hitting our bank accounts and our energy supplies, right? Fuel prices are going to go through the roof. There's going to be more scarcity going into the winter. If you don't have a wood-burning fire stove, you better get one, because you might need it, right? And as crazy as that sounds, you might have power outages for 2 weeks at a time, maybe a month. Maybe they might set a new policy that says, hey, we're in a global shortage crisis due to the climate change, aka COVID, right? The climate crisis, because I believe they're going to marry them. And in order to get that, you got to show your vaccine passport. But your vaccine passport is now digital. So the little cards that we all faked and pretended to have, those aren't going to work anymore. More importantly, they can scan you now to determine whether you've been vaccinated or not. So that's got to be weird too. Border Patrol uses scanning technologies to determine if people coming across the border are vaccinated or not. So if they're able to scan people, they have to be resonating something. Nobody talks about this yet. Because it's too heavy to think about. Right? But we're well beyond the conspiracies that, this experimental jab that has no determination of what is actually in it. Nobody knows. It's growing these weird tentacles inside of people. People are dying in droves everywhere. 36-year-old WWE wrestler, best shape of his life. He just died. A friend of mine just died. He was 40 years old. He died. He got the jab.
26 years old down in Palm Springs, California.
Right. Everybody knows somebody now at this point. They can't hide it anymore because essentially the people that got the jab in the mouse study that they did in 2014 or 2015 with the mRNA shots that they gave the mice, which were the humanized mice, the projection was 18 months to 36 months, and eventually they all died. They didn't make it. Nobody made it. None of those mice made it. And so the projection was 36 months. Now we're getting to the point where we're pushing onto that barrier of those 36 months. Okay? So, but anyways, we can talk about, all this stuff. But the other thing I think that's at the forefront, and Tucker Carlson brought it to the forefront the other day when he was on Adam Carolla's show. Did you see that? Okay, so he said, listen, it's almost a foregone conclusion. They're gonna do a hot war with a country probably like Russia.
No, I'll disagree with you on that.
Okay.
Here's the situation. The temperament in the last 4 weeks with North and South Korea. Last week, we was doing military exercises. North Korea launched, and they had to call a Japanese warning in Japan for a missile going over their country with the ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. In the process, as of today, you had 6 warning shots from North Korea shooting off the coast of South Korea near Busan and Incheon area, where I was in the military 34 years ago, did exercises. And in the process, this is like a semi-false flag. While you're watching that going on, then they're going to try to take more control from within our countries. If Germany's going to do what they're doing, and other countries, I bet you Hungary's not going to do it. I bet you Eastern Europe not going to lock down like what they're doing here.
Sure,
or the African continent.
But to get back to Tucker's point, and he said probably Russia, but it might be a different country, something like that. But at the state of the world is with them trying to arrest Trump, they've indicted him 4 times. His mugshot blew back on him. I mean, we got wanted Trump 2024.
Yeah.
Mugshot t-shirts on sale right now. Get them at noncompliantamerica.com. Or you can go on to the Twitter at noncompliantus and order your t-shirts. They're awesome. They're white or red. And then I think we got a green one coming out as well. But it totally blew up on their face. Now all the gangster rappers are like, yeah, Trump's my guy.
He knows how to feel being black now.
That's right. Well, because they're seeing the public persecution that all the black people talk about and what happens and how they're disenfranchised in the civil rights movement and everything else. Trump has now become Jesus in that way and gone through the crucifix and gone through the fire.
Yes, he has.
Now he's in the circle.
That's right.
Now it's kind of come full circle. I think Crowder was talking about it last week. If Trump's been mentioned in like 450 plus rap songs.
Yes.
Because he used to be an icon, and now then the Democratic Party slandered him and everything else, and we've seen that. 6 Ways from Sunday, Chuck Schumer, the intelligence apparatus getting back at you, and we see that. But now the American people are seeing through that.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry. Maybe Kanye come out with a new song for Trump.
Yeah. Speaking of Kanye, I haven't seen Kanye. I He's been kind of silent lately.
Yes, he has. I mean, he's getting beat up from every angle, black, white, Jew, or Gentile,
Right.
of the Marxist movement.
You know, I was watching right at that time where all that controversy was going on, where he posted that symbol on his Twitter, and then he got banned. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The symbol was basically all religions
That's right.
combined, right?
Combined.
He was basically preaching unity. You know, saying he loved Hitler and all this stuff and everything else, and it was crazy. But do you know why he did all that? It's because he was locked into a $50 million contract, and they dropped him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to get out of the contract by that big giant controversy, and now he's free to do whatever he wants.
That's right. It's called unshackling from the man.
Right, because they didn't want to be associated with it. I think that was brilliant.
That's a hand of God, bro.
100%. So it's fascinating, and just it goes to show like what we think we know, what we think we see, what we think we have figured out. There's always 4 or 5 different layers, and our job and my job is to try to dissect those layers and see other things that may be going on that we don't quite see. Right?
Yeah.
Because if we're being preached by the news and everybody's got an angle and everybody's got a slant, if we're being preached to the news, they have an agenda. There's propaganda in which, now granted, there's a lot of independent agencies and independent news organizations now that are really trying and striving hard to be really transparent. Mike Adams is one of them. PBD, his podcast is blowing up. I don't know if you've seen him.
Yep, David Harris is blowing up, and also Flashpoint with Gene Bailey, Hank Kuhneman, and Rick Green from Constitution University out of Texas. They got some good stuff, and even Dr. Peter McCullough is bringing up good medications. So if you have taken the jab, or you haven't, and you're getting some of these little tears that's coming off of people shedding, there is good medicines available. Go watch Tuesday night on Rumble. I guarantee you, you go to the 37-minute mark, Dr. Peter McCullough, he's being worn down, but these people is coming out. They're standing. They are of faith. Don't matter if you're Jew, Gentile, black, white, whatever the heck else. They are standing and calling them out. I mean, David Harris was wearing a shirt with Trump's mugshot on it, and I'm telling you, he's more proud of being black now than ever.
Absolutely. Well, and that reminds me, too, of America's Frontline Doctors, how brave they were in May of 2020 when they came out with their video basically stating they had prophylactics, they had preventatives, they had things to contend against COVID and everything else. They just posted last week in this oncoming mask mandate. You guys can go to it. It's aflds.org/medical/masks. And this is a way that you can fight back in your communities as they start to try to roll this stuff out, as they start to try to enforce these things, whether it's at your work or your job or at a grocery store or anything else. There is a plethora of studies, Stanford mask studies, Danish studies, even more research, mask references on how masks are actually bad for common use. They're bad for everyday use, and they don't work, especially for viruses. And I think we all know this now.
Yes, it's caused longer coughs than average in the seasons. It's causing pneumonia cases that's rare.
And there's a study that came out too. I'll see if I can find it. But they were talking about the term long COVID. Remember everybody was talking about, I had long COVID? Yeah. Long COVID actually came from wearing a mask.
That's right, because when you rebreathe oxygen,
100%,
and you exhale, when you're in that mask, you're putting CO2, carbon dioxide, the stuff they're saying is bad for the planet, but our trees, on various other crops, even corn turns it into oxygen.
Yep.
Yet it's another form to combine, like what he's saying, the green agenda with the COVID agenda, and it triangulates on the power of making you serfs.
That's right.
Not independent people of
bad for you folks. Do not comply. Do not comply. Do not comply.
I know it's good to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.
let this show be a beacon of truth, a beacon of light in the face of the tyrannical futures that they're trying to create and fabricate for us. But the answers are right in front of us. Simply do not comply. Simply follow your gut. Listen to your gut. Listen to the people that have been barking and screaming at the top of their lungs on all the frauds and the conspiracies going on that have come to fruition and become true. Those are the people that you want to reach out to. Those are the people. And if you were wrong in the past, it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be misguided. This was a very sophisticated psyop that was pushed on the American people who have been fat, happy, and asleep for generations on the prosperity that our forefathers and great-grandparents created for us to lay out to have a better, simpler, brighter future. In return, that creates domesticated civilizations.
Sheep.
And that's what we were, but we are no longer those sheep that were
Bah.
prior to
But overall, you have to be called lions. Just like
right.
when they went exploring in Israel, Caleb and Joshua, out of all the 12 tribes of Israel, Caleb of Jephunneh, he says, if the Lord is with us, who's it going to be against us?
right.
You walk on your history of your past, because if God is with you and you walk humbly in heart, we're not going to be perfect. Not even David, but he says, I will grant you a tree forever. That'll be a light to others of truth and honor and humility.
And we all have that inside of us. But it's a matter of looking within and rediscovering the things that we already know and the things that we already have inside of us. The technology and the screens and things in front of us are meant to distract us, distort our perception, and distort our realities. And getting away from that natural womb of God's womb and God's life and light, and understanding that we can, within, project those wills into the future. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not AI programmed what our futures are going to be. Our futures are still yet to be undetermined. But it's up to us as individuals to make that decision, to go against the grain and pioneer new pathways and new perspectives. And sometimes the new perspectives that we discover are previously discovered old perspectives. It's just us losing that connection to our past and losing the connection to our genetics.
That's why we have to look backwards. Just like
right.
the last king of Judah and Benjamin, Josiah, when he was a king at 16 years old, he asked him to open up the scrolls. And make a long story short, when they opened up scrolls and seen what the judgment coming after Hezekiah's kingdomship, and after Jezebel and Ahab was conquered by Jehu, and Nebuchadnezzar went through and took Israel, he rented his shirt. And he repented to the Lord. Nobody's perfect. You don't let the sticky mud of doubt and things of the past stick upon your feather, because we're all eagles. We all soar gracefully with the hand of God, and
Amen.
The food of light shall guide us through.
More importantly, we all know we're rediscovering the path that we've already taken so recently that it should be very easy to not comply. It should be very easy to say no. Because there's factions, there's groups, there's independent groups that have built up a great resistance to this. And there's resources and facts and anywhere you can go. There's no other choice at this point but to push forward and don't let these tyrants push this through.
Mm-hmm. And the most important thing, keep in mind, another enemy may be locking down. You know who benefited out of this deal? Your second largest rich person in the world, Mr. Bezos.
Yep.
Through Amazon, because there was a lot of trucks. My friend was making $2,700 a week as a truck driver, driving 70 hours a week. Now, they have sales went off 80%. There's hardly less than 1/3 of the trucks moving in the western states alone. But keep in mind, they always, just like Zelensky says, keep telling a lie until you become truth. Wear down people to where they become discerned, disenfranchised, and you become sheep by choice, because of discernment. Do not let the light from you be dimmed. Brighten that life even more by talking to your neighbors, talking to your family, forgiving those that you may have disagreed with in the first COVID, and uniting together as one team, one family, one nation under God, and go through and take back the mountains that the Lord has asked us in education, in our communities, in our businesses. And if the business don't want to go, let them fall. Just go to businesses that will serve the people.
Yep. Well, and that's interesting that you mentioned Amazon, because Amazon's logistic arm has grown from relying entirely on other carriers to shipping 22% of all packages in the U.S. So now Amazon is now shipping, as of 2021, 22% of all the packages.
You know what?
That's greater than FedEx, which is 19% of the market share.
Mm-hmm. You know what fell?
Within striking distance of USPS, which is 24%.
Wow. And the point is this. Guess what else happened this year, less than 2 months ago, in July?
What's that?
Yellow Freight, the oldest freight company in America, who had 36,000 truck drivers, went belly up because they took out loans during the COVID. So a company that was being honest and trying to do the people's work on a smaller freight, hauling 28-foot trailers, doubles and triples. Now everything's put on 53-foot trailers, if you notice the highways lately.
Yeah, and it looks like Old Dominion submits $1.5 billion bid for bankrupt freight company Yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So Old Dominion's going to try to sew that up.
Yes, indeed. But the point is this. They want everything, the norm is for you to be able to go out, enjoy your freedoms locally, spend time with your family, let kids be in kids. With a mask, you can't see the facial expressions, the smiles, the feelings, what they're thinking and everything else. By locking them down, they're trying to make cauterized sheep and keep them in the pens, which is your household. Be guided by the one-eyed devil, by TikTok and other garbage. Not even China allows in their country.
Right. Well, what I find interesting is that there's a lot of videos I get sent by a lot of people that's on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be uncensored videos.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
They're uncensored because they feel like they got freedom. But when they got to come out...
But why is there a disproportionate amount on TikTok versus Facebook or Twitter,
Rumble, or anything else? Is because...
I don't see a lot of shorts on Rumble. No. Rumble's more long-form videos.
But the point is that you can go do shorts on it. But overall, it is another form of propaganda to keep everybody confined to a box.
So do you think that the Chinese are orchestrating the disassociation with the U.S. government, getting people to stop believing them and stop believing the American system?
Yes.
So they're letting these videos, these conspiracies, and these things push through to do that?
Yes, I do. And I believe it also serves as a second purpose for the World Economic Forum and the globalists. Yeah. It's a win-win for both of them.
Well, if you could tear down the U.S., which is the biggest superpower, as far as military superpower, we outspend 25 times more, I think, than the next countries or whatever. But we're the biggest super. If they can tear us down, that's going to pave the path for the new global system. And that's what they're pushing.
That's right.
That's what they're pushing. It's kind of like... I think we were talking about this yesterday with Hitler.
Yep.
And why they let Hitler reign power for 4 or 5 years in the world so they can roll out the UN, so they can roll out the EU and have these global systems and disarm these populations.
Yep.
As sick as these people are, that's definitely up the alley that they would do. We're running out of time, folks. Non-Compliant America. Tune in. Go to noncompliantamerica.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.